Hello, dear Aries. I'm Jamie Dawn, your evolutionary revolutionary astrologer, bringing you your May 2021 horoscope. Can you believe it's May? Oh my God. As they say, time flies when you're having fun. Hopefully, you're finding a lot of joy and excitement around the possibilities of what the future can hold, and also enjoying the present moment. We have some really interesting things that are happening for the month of May. So I'll get right to them for you specifically. So if you have an Aries rising, an Aries moon, or an Aries sun, this is most likely going to impact you. Just as a reminder, these horoscopes are placed with the sun on the first house. So this means that it is the Aries rising that you're going to be looking at when I'm doing these interpretations. And so if you're someone who dabbles in astrology or you're familiar with it, then you'll notice if I'm talking about the houses, it's because I'm doing it from that rising sign or ascendant perspective. But that doesn't mean it can't apply to you if your sun, let's say, is in the sixth house versus the third. It's just this is where having a personal chart and a personal reading with myself or someone that you trust and feel safe with is really important. So, of course, find me at jamiedawn.com. Thank you so much for liking, subscribing, sharing to this channel. This is a generalized reading, and it may not apply to everybody, but it hopefully can put some pins on the map for you. So we're going to start. We've got Pluto has been retrograde for about a week now as we get started here. It's not such a big deal because it is a generational outer planet. However, we do feel some of the effects of these retrogrades. And Pluto, Uranus, Neptune, Saturn, Jupiter, they all retrograde every year. And because of the orbits of these outer planets, like Uranus, Neptune, and Pluto, they tend to stay in retrograde motion a little bit longer than some of these other personal planets. The reason I bring this up is just to put a little pin on the map to say, if you're more internalized about digging deep into the raw power that you have, or understanding maybe that you're dealing with things out of your control, this is why it could be activated with Pluto being retrograde, because it does, retrograde planets bring this internalized feeling. But if we can tap into it, what the invitation is that we can really dive deep into our own inner wisdom and use the information or the energy that we discover. Now, on May 4th, we've got Mercury, which has been in Taurus for the better part of April. It moved into Taurus on the 19th. It is running, actually, and Mercury is a fast planet, and it does move pretty quickly. However, in Taurus, it has a way of slowing down a little bit, making us more methodical, more calculated. Well, it's raced right into Gemini on May 4th, and it's going to stay in Gemini for quite some time because it does retrograde at the end of the month. And so you're going to have Mercury entering Gemini, which is third house for you. And that's going to activate your mind, the way you organize information, how you share it. You're going to want to connect, especially locally in your local community, and finding your people, And this isn't like the 11th house where you're trying to find your tribe or that group that you feel like you could belong to or create friendships with. This is more of, think of elementary school when you go to recess and you want to play with your friends at the playground kind of thing. And so you're going to want to have these ideas and go, hey guys, remember, we can pretend, this is a great time to pretend, we can pretend that we are creating this new reality and this is how I want to do it. So you're going to find that if you're looking for that friendship piece, because this is going to be a sextile to your ascendant or to your sun, and so, or your moon. So this gives you an opportunity to do a lot of communicating. And then you're going to have on May 9th, Venus entering Gemini, activating even more of that third house. And so then you're going to attract probably more conversations, more social time, or at least you're going to turn your attention that way. I would venture to say that some of you Aries who are needing to have certain conversations, this is a perfect time to do it because the ideas are going to come a mile a minute. Now, the downside to the Gemini energy is that Gemini has a tendency to take on a lot and scatter a lot. It's very surfacey when it comes to information. So if you're looking at depth and going, well, why are we doing this? Let's go deeper. Let's figure out, how do we put this one thing together? That's not so Gemini. So you may find yourself super energized at all the activity. And also it could drain you if you're not careful about how you're giving out your energy. But this is a great reminder about where you're putting your attention, your time, your energy. Venus, it rules values. And so you'll know who you communicate with or the conversations that you have or the things that you want to learn about, because that's also very Gemini, likes to learn about a lot of different things. And so you may find that that's what you value most. This is also a great time if you have decided, hey, I want to start writing a book or I want to do some public speaking or whatnot. This is a good time to attract those opportunities. And falling on the heels of Mercury, Venus, and Gemini, on May 11th, we have a new moon in Taurus. And that new moon is in your second house, activating even more of that mindset or that focus on what you value, but also your income. And it's that tangible physical possession that you have. And in order to have the things you value, you need to attract the income in order to buy it, right? Or you attract the relationships that you can leverage in order to get you to that next level or to get you what you want. And so I would venture to say that this new moon in Taurus could find you looking around going, I really value the people in my life that can give me freedom, that can give me the independence I deserve, and that also can connect with me in a lighthearted, fun, flirty way. Gemini loves to flirt. And so you may find that, especially if you're a single Aries and you're looking for that deeper romance or that new connection, this is the time to do it. And that you may attract someone to you that is very youthful, that allows you to feel very lighthearted, and you probably won't take it too seriously, which is exactly what Aries loves. You just love to play. The other thing you love is you love to protect those that are meaning something to you or the things that you really value. And so you may find that this new moon can have you really having confirmation that the things that you value are important, that you're able to go and do certain things that maybe you couldn't do before. I sense a lot of you Aries are going to be looking at vacations or connecting with your partner or your new love interest in a way that gives you playfulness. It's funny, I just had this image of some of you bouncing on like trampolines and doing these air park things. We're starting to get back into getting out and about. And I know some places are still somewhat restrictive, but there's a lot of places that are opening up. And I just see like in this fun house, if you will, this adult playground. And I would venture to say that the first part of May and leading into the whole month of May, it's really going to have you feeling more light and free to be able to play more. This is the big move for the month of May. Well, two of them, because we have Mercury retrograde and everybody loves to freak out about Mercury retrograde, but not me. However, the other big move is Jupiter. Jupiter's going to dip his toes into Pisces on May 13th. This is going to be in your 12th house. Now, Jupiter in the 12th house is actually a good benefic to have there. It's like the guardian angel. So if you have 12th house worries and fears, and it's considered the house of undoing. However, I would say the reason that is the case is that 12th house tends to bring up things that we don't even know about, that it brings up our fears or worries, anxieties in the subconscious that until you don't know what you don't know, right? Here comes Jupiter expanding this 12th house, maybe bringing up some things that you just didn't know about. But in Pisces, where it's traditionally ruled, I feel that this could bring up some new opportunities for you that expand an aha. Like you get this moment where of like, I can actually have what I want. I have faith. I have belief here that I could actually manifest what I ultimately want in my life, and your Jupiter saying, how about we give you a few more opportunities to do this? I'm really excited about Jupiter and Pisces. So, as I say, in this 12th house, it can be a real benefit to you. It will retrograde back into Aquarius later in the year. So it's not fully in Pisces until later this year. However, it's a really good opportunity to get a taste of what's coming. And I would venture to say the downside, of course, because there's always a shadow to the light, is that Jupiter in the 12th house can expand addiction. So please pay attention, Aries, if you're looking to escape. When I say addictions, it could be literally like drugs, alcohol, substance abuse, but it can also be where a stress comes up that tests your faith and you freak out and you escape. And you're like, I'm out of here. I'm going to a retreat. Okay, spiritual retreats are great, which could be another thing that happens here, or working with a place, opportunity, maybe a silent retreat or somewhere that you go that you can rejuvenate your spirit. But it can also create escapism if the tension and worry, anxieties become too much, right? This is also a great opportunity for the next few weeks if you're looking at, say, relationship, where you may go away for a long distance with a beloved, or you maybe have been distant and now come together. So I'm just putting that little pin on the map. The other thing is May 20th, the sun enters Gemini. So again, third house activation. And then 23rd, Saturn will retrograde in the 11th house. So Saturn is going to start moving back into some of the earlier degrees of Aquarius. And so it's going to, let me just say, the sun in Gemini in that third house, again, makes you very chatty, very energized by connection and communication. You may be inspired to share your opinion with anybody and everybody that will listen. And most likely, because of Venus in Gemini, you'll be attracting others who really want to hear what you have to say. Great time to bring in an audience, if you will. Or if you've been sitting on a particular subject matter, good time to bring it up again. Now, Saturn retrograding, again, this is going to be a slow retrograde. So Saturn will be there in Aquarius until October 4th, I believe. I didn't do my research on that one. I'm pretty sure that's coming out of my memory bank. I will do that research, and I'll be talking about it on my on my weekly videos as well. However, just note that Saturn's going to be retrograde all summer. That much I'm confident about. And it's in the 11th house, which means you get to revisit some of the organizations, groups, friendships, all the 11th house kind of energy that you may have experienced at the beginning of the year when Saturn was crossing over these earlier degrees. So just keep in mind that if you're looking at getting something done, let's say with certain connections that you have, or with the, let's say you have this humanitarian mindset, or some sort of organization that you're really trying to get back into the swing of things, it may be that you do it behind closed doors. You may have to be more internalized. It may be that it's slower going than you had expected. The other thing is we have a full moon. It is an eclipse, and it's on May 26th. It's in Sagittarius, and it's in the 9th house for you. And so here you're going to be looking at places in which you want to release or let go, because it's a full moon, or it becomes enlightened on maybe the impact that your earlier time this month or even previous months may have activated for you, that give you a far-reaching audience. It gives you an opportunity to expand your learning. And you may decide that, yeah, I've connected with some locals and I've gotten some learning here, and I've gotten all these little pieces. Now I've put them together, and they're organized and they're neat. Because remember, we've had a lot of Taurus energy at the beginning of the month, which is all really great for putting things step by step. Now you're ready to share it with more people, or you're ready to take it to that graduate level, right? This is also the 9th house and 3rd house are also wonderful houses for publishing and writing and anything, any forms of communication and learning. It may tickle you, because it is an eclipse, that it brings an opportunity, because eclipses are quote unquote faded moments that we don't come out of the blue very often. And it may be that this brings you an opportunity that you have been hoping for, you've been working for, but you just thought maybe it had been gone and done, or it was impossible. Here it comes, and it may come from a foreign or a source that is outside of your purview, or it gives you an opportunity maybe to even move to a long distance. I can say that some of you Aries will most likely be considering moving across country, moving out of country, maybe moving back into a country if the borders have been closed and you've been trying to get there. Yes, let's talk Mercury retrograde for a second, because I will go into this in my celestial wisdom videos. But for you specifically, Aries, Mercury retrograde in the third house will have you revisiting some of the details around what you have been sharing with others. You may even be challenged by others on what you shared previously. So I'll give you the heads up. In the month of May, remember your words create worlds, and that it's possible that you may say something like I mentioned about Mercury, or excuse me, Saturn retrograde and October 4th. For some reason, that date's sticking in my head, but I need to go back and research it. Feel free to challenge me or put it in the comment and say, yeah, it is or it isn't. But that may be what the Mercury retrograde provides you at, towards the end of the month into June, is that you have to revisit some of the things you've said or some of the ways that you put it out there. Maybe you've done a beta test on an application or a book, and now Mercury retrograde has you doing the edits and the more research and more of the REs, right? Rejuvenating something. Maybe there is something from the past that's coming back to be revisited, especially because the full moon happens a few days before the retrograde. We're going to feel the retrograde of Mercury. And so it may be that somebody from your past, maybe somebody distant, that Sagittarius ninth house, somebody distant is coming back for you to have these conversations with them and revisit, why aren't we together? Why, or how do we deepen the connection that we had? I felt so far apart from you. How do we come back together? I can't tell you how many relationships live under the same roof and feel distant. You don't actually physically have to be distant. I'm sure many of you know that. So these are some of the things that the Mercury retrograde may bring up for you. Again, third house has a lot to do with learning and education. It has to do with connections on a local level, short distance trips. So it may be that some of you are going to be revisiting certain trips that you put on hold because of COVID, or that you put on hold because life was just happening and you couldn't do it, but now you're replanning them. You're going to have to go back and review them. As a rule of thumb, always watch transportation, communication, like computers, phones, text, emails. Make sure you have a third party, a second set of eyes, whatever it might be. It's not a great time to sign new contracts if you've already got it in place. Perfect time for it. But third house, ninth house, you definitely want to watch the communication piece. Make sure that you are sending the text to the person you want to send it to versus, let's say you're sending an email to a coworker about the boss and it's not so pleasant. Better make sure it goes to the right person. It's also possible during the Mercury retrograde here in that third house that some information will come back to you to bite you in the butt. So just a little warning, Aries, be careful what you say. I know that's not an easy thing for Aries, who likes to just be impulsive and speak. So that's my warning. That's my, to be forewarned is to be forearmed. All right, Aries, here's the little pins on the map. I hope this helps. I will be happy to sit with you and go into more detail. Find me at jamiedawn.com, and I look forward to your comments, liking, sharing, subscribing. Tell me how it's going. I want to hear what's going on with you guys. Okay, take care, Aries.